Marcus Chen sat alone in room 113, watching the rain streak down the windows like tears on a face. Detention. Again. This time for something he didn't even do. Mrs. Patterson had left 20 minutes ago to grab something from the office. She never came back. He checked his phone, no signal. Typical for this old building. Lincoln High School was built in 1952, back when the town was nothing but farmland and a prayer. The building had seen better days. Peeling paint, flickering lights, rumors. Always rumors. Marcus stood up, stretching his legs. The classroom felt different now, colder, the kind of cold that seeps into your bones and makes a home there. He walked to the door and tried the handle. Locked. "What the hell?" he muttered, jiggling it harder. The door wouldn't budge. He knocked. "Hello, Mrs. Patterson? Anyone?" His voice echoed down what he imagined was an empty hallway. But something felt wrong about that echo. It came back to him changed, deeper, like something else had spoken with him. Marcus pressed his ear against the door. Footsteps, slow, deliberate, getting closer. "Hello?" he called again, relief flooding his voice. "I'm locked in here. Can you—" The footsteps stopped right outside the door. Silence. Then a whisper. So quiet he almost missed it. "Marcus." He stumbled backward, knocking over a desk. The crash was deafening in the silence. "Who's there?" His voice cracked. The doorknob began to turn, slowly, metal grinding against metal like it hadn't moved in decades, but the door stayed locked. Marcus grabbed his backpack. Holding it like a shield, his heart hammered against his ribs. Think, the windows! He ran to them, trying to force one open, painted shut, all of them, like someone wanted to make sure nothing could get out. Or in. He pulled out his phone again. Still no signal, but the screen lit up the space around him. That's when he noticed it. The walls. They were covered in old photographs he'd never seen before, class photos dating back to the 1950s, rows of students with hollow smiles and empty eyes standing in front of this very building. But that wasn't what made his blood run cold. In every single photo, someone had scratched out one student's face. Different students, different years, all scratched out with something sharp, something angry. And underneath the most recent photo, a class from 1987, someone had carved words into the wall. "They made me stay." Marcus's hands trembled as he moved his phone's light across the wall. More carvings, more messages. "She never let me leave." Room 113 remembers. "Your turn." Marcus spun around. A girl stood in the corner of the classroom. She hadn't been there before. He was certain of it. She wore a school uniform from another era, plaid skirt, white blouse, knee-high socks. Her hair hung in front of her face like a dark curtain. "Hey," Marcus said, his voice barely a whisper. "Hey, are you okay? Are you stuck in here too?" The girl didn't move. "How did you get in? The door is locked." Slowly, impossibly slowly, the girl raised her head. Marcus saw her face, or what was left of it. Her features were wrong, smeared, like a painting left out in the rain. Where her eyes should have been were just dark hollows that seemed to go on forever. Her mouth was frozen in a silent scream, and she was pointing at him. "You're sitting in my seat." Her voice wasn't sound, it was feeling. It crawled inside his head and scratched at the walls of his skull. Marcus looked down. He was standing by a desk in the third row. Carved into the wood was a name, Sarah Mills, 1987. The lights went out. No. Marcus fumbled with his phone. The screen had gone black. He pressed every button. Nothing. The breathing got closer. He could feel something in the darkness with him. Something that had been waiting a very long time. "I didn't do anything," he
he shouted into the void. "I don't even know why I'm in detention." A whisper came right against his ear. "Neither did I." Marcus screamed and ran. He slammed into desks, knocked over chairs, bounced off walls he couldn't see. His shin cracked against something metal, and he fell hard, tasting blood where he'd bitten his tongue. The lights flickered back on. He was in the hallway. The door to room 113 stood open behind him. Marcus didn't question it. He ran. The hallway stretched before him longer than he remembered. The lockers on either side seemed to lean inward, watching him pass. Some hung open, revealing darkness inside that was too deep, too complete. "Hello," he screamed. "Anyone? Please?" His voice echoed and died. He passed classroom after classroom, all empty, all dark, but in each one he glimpsed movement. Shapes sitting at desks. Faces pressed against windows, watching, waiting. He burst through the double doors into the main lobby. The front entrance was right there, 20 feet away. Freedom. He sprinted for it. 10 feet, 5 feet. He grabbed the handles and pushed. They didn't move. He pushed harder, throwing his entire weight against them. The doors rattled but held firm. Through the glass, he could see the parking lot. Rain, his mom's car, waiting for him. "Mum!" he screamed, pounding on the glass. "Mum, I'm in here!" But the car didn't move. His mother didn't turn. It was like she couldn't hear him, like he wasn't really there. The PA system crackled to life, static. Then a voice, female, elderly, cold. "Marcus Chen, please report to room 113. Marcus Chen, room 113 now." Marcus backed away from the doors. He wasn't going back to that room. He'd rather die. The principal's office. There had to be a phone there, a way out, something. He ran down the side hallway, past trophy cases filled with faded photographs and dusty awards, past the gymnasium where he swore he heard basketballs bouncing in rhythm, past the cafeteria where the smell of old food mixed with something else, something rotten. The principal's office door was open. Marcus stepped inside. Principal Howard sat behind his desk, facing away from the door, staring at the wall. "Mr. Howard, thank God, there's something wrong. The doors are locked and there's this girl and—" "Sit down, Marcus." The voice was wrong, too flat, too empty. "Sir, I really need to—" I said sit down. Marcus's legs moved on their own. He found himself sitting in the chair across from the desk, unable to control his own body. Principal Howard slowly turned around. His face was the same smeared wrongness as the girl's. His mouth moved, but the words came from somewhere else, somewhere deep beneath the school. "Do you know why you're in detention, Marcus?" "No," Marcus whispered. "No, I don't. There was a mistake. I didn't do anything." That's what they all say. The walls of the office began to bleed. Dark liquid seeped from the corners, pooling on the floor, rising. Sarah said the same thing in 1987. She said she was innocent. She said there had been a mistake. Mrs. Patterson didn't believe her. Mrs. Patterson, but she's... Mrs. Patterson has been here a very long time, Marcus. She was here before the building, before the town, before anything. And she does so hate to let students leave. The blood, it had to be blood, was at Marcus's ankles now, warm, thick. Sarah tried to leave. She made it all the way to the front doors, just like you. Do you know what happened to Sarah? Marcus shook his head, tears streaming down his face. She's still in room 113, waiting, always waiting for someone to take her place. Marcus screamed and wrenched himself free from whatever force held him. He fell backward, crashing through the office door, splashing through the blood that wasn't really blood. He was back in room 113. The desks were filled now. Dozens of students sat in perfect rows, all wearing uniforms from different decades, all with scratched out faces, all turning to look at him with hollow eyes. At the front of the room stood Mrs. Patterson, but not the Mrs. Bede.
Patterson he knew. This was something older, something that wore her face like a mask that didn't quite fit. Her smile was too wide, her eyes were too dark, her fingers were too long as they reached for him. You've been such a troublemaker, Marcus, talking back, not paying attention, showing disrespect. You know what happens to troublemakers. I'm sorry, he sobbed. Whatever I did, I'm sorry. Please let me go. We don't let students go, Marcus. We keep them. We teach them. We make them better. She gestured to the students around him. They all spoke at once, their voices a chorus of despair. We were made better. Sarah Mills stood up from her desk. She walked toward Marcus, her smeared face somehow showing pity. I've been waiting so long, she whispered. 36 years in this room, every day, every night.
No one to take my place, but now you're here? No. Marcus backed toward the door. No, please. You can let me leave, Marcus. You just have to stay, forever, in my seat. It's not so bad. You forget things. You forget the sun. You forget your family. Eventually, you forget you were ever alive at all. And then you're free, almost. Mrs. Patterson's hand clamped down on Marcus's shoulder. Her grip was ice and iron and inevitable. Take your seat, Marcus. Marcus felt his will crumbling. The weight of the school pressed down on him. Decades of darkness, centuries of detention. It would be so easy to give in, to sit down, to become one of them. But then he remembered something. The carvings on the wall, the messages. They made me stay. Made. Not asked. Made. He looked at Mrs. Patterson, at the thing wearing her face.
No! The word was small, quiet, but it echoed through the room like a thunderclap. The students gasped. Mrs. Patterson's smile faltered. What did you say? I said no. Marcus stood straighter. You can't keep me here. You need me to choose. You need me to sit down. That's the rule, isn't it? That's how this works. Sarah chose because she was scared. They all chose because they were scared. But I won't. Mrs. Patterson's face began to crack. Literally crack, like old porcelain. You will sit down. Make me. She lunged for him, and Marcus dove to the side. The classroom erupted in chaos. Desks flew. Students screamed. Real screams, not whispers. The walls began to shake. Marcus grabbed a chair and hurled it at the window. The glass shattered, and for a moment, just a moment, he felt cold, real rain on his face. No, Mrs. G. Patterson shrieked. Her form was dissolving now, becoming something else, something that had never been human at all, shadows and teeth and ancient hunger. Marcus climbed onto the windowsill. Sarah Mills appeared beside him. Her face was still wrong, but her eyes, for just a second, were clear. Tell them about us, she whispered. Tell them we're still here. Don't let them forget. Then she pushed him. Marcus fell 2 stories and landed in the bushes below. Pain exploded through his body, ribs, ankle, shoulder, but he was alive. He was outside. He looked up at the window he'd fallen from. Room 113 was dark, empty. But in the window, pressed against the glass, were dozens of hands, students' hands, reaching for him, begging. Then slowly, one by one, they faded away. The rain stopped. Marcus heard his mother's voice, frantic.
Calling his name. Footsteps running across the parking lot. He tried to stand. Failed. Tried again. When his mother reached him, he was laughing and crying at the same time. Marcus, oh my God, Marcus, what happened? I've been waiting for an hour. The school said you weren't in detention, that there was no one named Marcus Chen enrolled here. He stared at her. What? I went to the office. They said there's no student by that name. They said they've never had any students in this building after hours, not since 1987 when they closed the detention program. Marcus looked at the school. In the second-floor window, a shape moved. Mrs. Patterson, or what wore her face, watching, waiting. "See you tomorrow, Marcus," the wind whispered. 3 weeks later, Marcus sat in his new school 40 miles away.
His family had moved within 3 days of the incident. His parents didn't ask questions. They saw the look in his eyes and knew better. He hadn't told them everything, just enough. That the school was wrong, that something lived there, that they needed to leave and never go back. His new classroom was bright, modern, safe. The school counselor said it was PTSD, trauma manifesting as paranoia. She prescribed breathing exercises and meditation. She didn't know about the research he'd done. Lincoln High School had been built on the site of a children's workhouse from the 1800s. Dozens of kids had died there from overwork, disease, abuse. When the workhouse closed, they built a school on top of it, and in 1987, a teacher named Eleanor Patterson had started an experimental detention program. 23 students had enrolled. None of them were ever seen again. The school covered it up, said the students transferred, moved away, ran off. But Marcus knew the truth. They were still there, all of them, trapped in room 113, waiting for someone to take their place. And Mrs. Patterson, whatever she really was still teaching. The final bell rang. Marcus gathered his books and walked toward the exit. Normal, safe, free. He pushed open the front doors and froze. Across the street, standing in the rain, was a girl in a plaid skirt, knee-high socks, dark hair hanging over her face. Sarah Mills. She waved at him, a small, sad wave. Then she pointed, not at Marcus, at the school behind him. Marcus turned. The building was the same, modern, bright. But room 113 was in the basement now. He hadn't noticed before. The little window at ground level, nearly hidden by bushes. And in that window, a light flickered on. A shape moved. The PA system crackled to life. "Marcus Chen, please report to room 113. Marcus Chen, room 113. He turned back to Sarah. She was gone, but her voice remained, carried on the wind. "You can never really leave detention, Marcus. You just get a longer recess." The bell rang again, and again, and again. Marcus started walking. His legs moved on their own, toward the school, toward room 113. He was screaming inside, but his face was calm, smiling even, just like all the photographs. The door opened for him. He stepped inside. The door closed behind him. And somewhere, in a building that existed between seconds and beneath screams, Mrs. Kitty Patterson smiled her too wide smile. "Welcome back, Marcus. Take your seat. We have so much to learn." Carved into a desk in the third row, Marcus Chen, 2024, a janitor mopped the hallway of Lincoln High School. It was late. Too late. He passed room 113, paused, pressed his ear against the door. Dozens of voices spoke in unison. "Please let us out. Please. We didn't do anything. Please." The janitor kept mopping. He'd been here a very long time. He knew better than to open that door.